Little Mermaid on the Genesis. Ugh, reminds me of the Nintendo version.
Hey man, what's going on?
Not too much, buddy.
How you been? Yeah.
Good. What's happening?
Hey, do you have this on the Nintendo, the Little Mermaid?
I wish, dude. That's a great game.
Oh, really? You like that game? The Little Mermaid for Nintendo?
Dude, that game is awesome, man. What are you talking about?
Man, I mean, I just can't stand it. It's not that it's difficult, it's just the game itself makes it difficult. Like, man, I really think like Capcom really dropped the ball on this one.
I have to disagree, man. I'm a big fan, dude. Shells, mermaids, man. You can't go wrong with that, dude. It's a good game.
I'm not allowed to...
Shells, mermaids, man. You can't go wrong with that, dude. It's a good game.
Maybe he's right. Maybe there is something the matter with me. I just don't see how a world that makes so many wonderful games could produce this boring mess of a video game based on The Little Mermaid. Look at these games. Aren't they neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the guy who has every game? Look at this shelf, treasures untold. How many games can these wooden planks hold? Looking around, yeah, you see, sure, he's got everything. I've got imports and Pac-Mans aplenty. I've got Rockmans and Sonics galore. You want Mario games? I've got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I wanna play a great Little Mermaid game. I wanna see me smiling, pressing those buttons to, what do you call it? Attack. Playing the NES game, you don't have much fun. Patience is required to collect crystals, beating your head across the, what's that word again? Floor. Sorry, Capcom, but this one's a bust. Why does this game get me in such a fuss? Wish I could play a decently made Little Mermaid game.
That was awkward.
In the era of Capcom's dominance over Disney-based platform games, there's one game that boils my blood till no end. Yeah, you guessed it. Little Mermaid on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Sure, it has colorful graphics, whimsical music, and a dollop of story, but none of this can make up for the buggy gameplay, tank-like controls, and half-baked ideas that fill this game all the way up to its awful, sea-foaming brim. It's about time we put Ariel on the chopping block. This is the Nintendo Entertainment System's version of The Little Mermaid.
We start off with a rehashed version of the original Disney movie story. Ariel, King Triton's youngest mer-daughter, has fallen in love with a human named Eric, Prince of, I don't know, Rhode Island? It may as well be, the movie never explains it either. The game's completely devoid of most of the structure of the movie that it's based on, basically focusing on Ursula, the evil sea witch, who's focusing on taking over King Triton's mer-people. The story is the equivalent of Home Run Derby. It hits on all the main points of the original story, but just focuses on the big moments. There's no rules or regulations other than one main goal.
Stop Ursula!
First, the positives. The game supports a fun soundtrack that remains faithful to the atmosphere and story's decor. You'll bob your head to floaty Capcom tracks that aren't necessarily driven or engaging like Mega Man, or even including half of the wonderful tracks that the movie offered. But what the Little Mermaid's NES soundtrack does, it does right. Graphically, the game does a great job of translating the characters from the movie into their 8-bit counterparts. Cutscenes help add to the story, providing an even more accurate portrayal of supporting characters such as Sebastian the Crab and Flounder the Fish. The animation on Ariel's hair in the water looks great, and the colors are clean and bouncy. So again, no problems here. Capcom keeps the visuals fresh and comparable to the Disney classic.
But that's where the praise stops, like a thief in the night.
Wait, what?
I'm guaranteed to get a lot of backlash against this, but I don't care. Ariel moves like a tank. Yes, I know, she's got that giant, sexy mermaid rump.
Or mer rump? Fish ass? Tuna posterior? Okay, this is getting a little awkward.
All it's good for is swimming, and she can't even do that right. Yes, I'm familiar with the B button being the swim faster button, but the complete pivot and turn is what ends up killing me half the time. While I realize the game is under the sea, it doesn't mean every moment has to be as accurate as possible to undersea movement. We're talking about mermaids that don't exist. I think it'd be okay to not make Ariel move so slow when she's turning. This isn't even my biggest gripe with the game. The most frustrating part of the game is collecting and using seashells. Ariel gathers seashells one of two ways: grabbing them in plain sight, or digging in the sand for them. However, they're constantly getting stuck in various platforms, and when they disappear, they can't be retrieved easily. If you miss opening chests in previous area due to a lack of shells, you can't go backwards once you retrieve a shell. You simply have to either press onwards or die so you can go back. See, the treasure chests provide you with two different power-ups: range and strength of shot. You can upgrade your shot so it captures fish easier. By using the fish as projectiles, Ariel can shoot diagonally, straight up, or forward. The issue is that if you die even once, you lose all your power-ups. This is an attempt to make the game difficult, however, all it does is punish the player, because your basic shot is not strong enough to knock over barrels or gems, which are alternatives if you're out of shells in certain places. Sometimes these are the only options that Ariel has to upgrade her shot, making the upgrades you get in the beginning of the game so important to hang on to for the remainder of your playthrough. This is my major gripe with the game. Compare it to Contra. If you die and lose your machine gun, you have the normal shot, but if the normal shot wasn't strong enough to open the power-ups that come floating by you, you could never power up your weapons unless you use a continue to start back at the beginning of the game or the level with the machine gun. It's poor game design at its core, and the end project suffers for it.
Now there's also other power-ups that can be retrieved for points. Yes, apparently there's a point system, but it doesn't matter because the pipe and fork hardly ever show up. I played through this game multiple times, and I think I maybe found one of each total in the whole game. Why bother?
The boss fights get more difficult with each passing level, especially if you lack the power-ups necessary to defeat them quickly. Even without the power-ups, the patterns of the bosses feels too repetitive, and within 15 seconds you'll know every attack your enemy's going to make. Especially the final boss, Ursula. There's no sense of accomplishment when defeating her. The game ends and you just kinda...
Just look at the box art.
Even the characters were trying to tell you, this game isn't fun. Meh. I cannot recommend this game to any Capcom or Disney fan. This was the beginning of the end for the Capcom-Disney relationship, and while there were a few other random gems the two would create together, they would never touch upon the Little Mermaid franchise again.
Well, okay, there was a Game Boy game too. But in an industry full of sequels, you'd think that Capcom would maybe talk it over with Disney and say, hey, give us another shot at this. Either way, swim far away from this game, fellow Mer-gamers. This fish smells spoiled. Terrible.